Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. This is a video to go over day 106, which is going to be our classwork day 5 for our final. So hopefully you've been okay with the first 4 days and this day won't be as bad to remember. All this is found on my website. You can do everything on Loosely if you don't have to print anything out. If you can't, that is not a big deal at all. All right, so day 5 is going to have a little bit of functions. It's going to have a little bit of volume, and I think it's got a couple of other little random things. You'll definitely need your calculator today, so please make sure that you have that handy. All right, here we go, day 5. Number 1, which of the following equations is non-linear? All right, so what did I teach you about non-linear? Okay, so which one of these is non-linear? Which one kind of doesn't look like the others? Well, that would be choice 3. And what makes it non-linear is that right there. So I had taught you that for nonlinear, the exponent has to be something that's not 1. So if you notice, this is x to the first, x to the first, x to the first. All of the exponents for the x have to be 1. Remember, if you write a 1, it kind of looks like the lowercase l for linear, and that's how you remember. So anything that is not 1 is going to be non-linear. And don't forget the really super tough one, 1 over x. This is x to the first power, but when you take it out of the fraction, it's x to the negative 1. So that is still a non-linear. So be very careful with that. All right, so steps are more like a rule, or I want to say maybe like a definition. So a non-linear equation is an equation where the exponents of the variable is not 1. So that's the most important thing. It is not 1. Okay? So if it's a multiple choice question, which it will be, look for the one that doesn't have the 1. All right, next question, function. So I had taught you in order to be a function, certain values cannot repeat. And that was the x's. So let's actually start with the definition again first. So definition for a function, in order to be a function, the x values do not repeat. So we want to look at the first values, okay? Let's see what we have. We have 2, 2, and 4. Well, because those repeat, that's no good. It is not a function. So does it represent a function? No, it is not a function because the x value of 2 repeats. All right, number 3. So 3, 4, and 5 are your volume ones, so please have your calculator out. Okay, volume of a cylinder whose radius is 3 and whose height of 8 and round to the nearest hundredth, and here is our formula. So remember your cylinder. I'm going to attempt to draw these. I'm not the best artist. Okay, so you have a radius of 3, and then you have your height of 8, and there's no unit, so we're just going to put a u at the end. Round to the nearest hundredth. Okay, so we need volume equals pi r squared h. You just had this question actually on your midterm too. So you're going to do volume. Oh, so do we remember, if it doesn't say what to use for volume, okay, it doesn't say 3.14, doesn't say terms of pi, so what did you have to do? Hopefully you remembered that you have to use the pi button on the calculator. Remember, we write it in the box, so that's how we know it's the calculator. Okay, so we have our radius of 3, so that's going to go right there, so 3 squared. And then we have our height of 8, and our height is going to go in there. So again, this is the one that was on your midterm. So volume equals pi times 3 squared is 9. Remember in the calculator, your squared button is right below the caret, or to the left of the 7. All right, so now let's put this all in the calculator. So pi times 9 times 8, and it wants nearest hundredth, okay? So 10th hundredth, so look to the 4. The 4 does not raise up the 9, okay? Remember we say 5 or more raise the score, 4 or less, let it rest. So we are going to let it rest. So 226.19. 226.19. Again, we're going to put U, that just stands for general units, and third power because it's a 3D object. So steps, plug the values into the formulas, or formula, I should really say, and simplify. And I'm also going to write the rounding, round to the nearest hundredth. All right, so that one should have been too bad because, again, that was just on your midterm. All right, next one. In terms of pi. So, again, that means you need to have this pi symbol in the answer. It acts like a variable, so you don't multiply by it. So now we're going to multiply by, or we're going to figure out the volume of a sphere with a radius of 4. And yay, no memorizing. We don't have to do our, memorize that formula. All right, sphere. Oof, let's try to draw this. So a circle. Something like that, maybe? All right, so radius of 4. Okay, here we go. Volume equals 4/3 pi r to the 3rd power. So 4/3 times 5. So just leave the symbol. Don't box it, okay? It's a variable. And then you have your radius of 4. All right, so here are these steps. So 4/3 times pi. Let's do your exponents. So caret button. So 4, your caret button is right below the pi button. That's going to be 64. Okay, so put a 64 here. And now what you're multiplying is this fraction and that whole number. Okay, don't multiply by the pi. Okay, the pi has to stay as a variable. It does not get multiplied. So in the calculator, we have 4ABC3. Remember, ABC is your fraction button, times 64. And we get this mixed number. 85 is your whole number, and then 1/3 is the fraction. So we get volume equals 85 and 1/3. And then you bring over that pi that you did not multiply by. Okay, that's important. And it's inches to the 3rd power. So again, in terms of pi means I should see a pi in answer. So in terms of pi, must have pi in your answer. Don't multiply. We'll say something like that. Don't multiply by pi. All right, so your steps, kind of like the ones above. Plug the values into the formula and simplify. And then I think I'm going to write don't multiply by pi. That's really the most important thing, is you don't multiply by it. It has to be in your answer. And notice we didn't round, we didn't write any repeating, we didn't round, we just left it with what we had. All right, one more volume. So now we're going to do a cone. We have nearest cubic inch. Okay, so that's going to be different for us. That's going to be nearest whole number. Okay, so nearest cubic inch, radius of 6, height of 8. This, and let's try to draw. All right, that's good enough. So radius of 6, height of 8. This is inches. This over here was inches too, by the way. And we have our cone, yummy ice cream. Okay, so 1/3 pi r squared h. 1/3. Oh, did it say what to use for pi? No. Okay, so it does not say what to use for pi. So remember, you're going to use that pi button. Okay, and this is how it's going to be on the final too, I think. So we got to have that box around it. Okay, so you have your radius of 6. So 6 squared. And then you have your height of 8. And here we go. Let's simplify. So you have your pi button. Again, always do your exponents first. And now you can multiply all these together. 1/3 pi, 36, and 8. So 1/3, 1 ABC3, pi, 36, and 8. It does say nearest whole number. So the whole number is the one to the left of the decimal. So to the right of the decimal, we have a 5. So 5 or more, raise the score. This is going to make this 302. So volume is 302, and it's inches cubed. All right, steps for this one. Again, similar to the last two. Plug the values into the formula and simplify. And for this one, the extra little thing I'm going to write, round to the nearest whole number. So 3 different shapes, but all had something a little bit different to do with them. All right, next page. So number 6 is the question that I always give to you guys a lot. And I always say they always give this question because they always think kids are going to forget what buttons to press. But you guys know what to do. So you want to take away the 3rd power. And you want to get it down to regular A. Okay, so the inverse of cubing something, right, this is called cubing, is taking the cubed root. Okay, so I want to be able to take the cube root. So that was the square root with the little 3. And I taught you whatever you do to one side, do the other. And then I had taught you that there were 3 buttons you had to press on the calculator. 3 buttons. And I would like to say 3 because I'd like you to remember the first one is 3. It was 3, second, caret, and then I'll just write the rest of it. Then 125 and equals. So 3, second, caret. Okay, you should have that little x between the 3 and the square root. That's how you know you did it right. Of 125, and you get 5. The answer is A equals 5, and that just means 5 times 5 times 5 gets you 125. So what number times itself 3 times is 125? That's all it's asking. So steps, take the cube roots of each side of the equal sign. And then again, those are your steps from above. So remember, it's 3 second caret, 3 second caret. Give an example of a number that is a perfect square. I guess give a definition. Again, those perfect squares is the product of a number times itself. And actually, I'm just going to list all of them for you. So 0, 1, 4, 9, 16, 25. So really quick, let me stop. How I got this. This one is 0 times 0. This is 1 times 1, 2 times 2, 3 times 3, 4 times 4, 5 times 5. So we'll do 6, 7, 8, 9 squared, 10 squared, 11, 12 squared, 13 squared, 14 squared, and 15 squared. So we have 36. 7 times 7 is 49. 8 times 8 is 64. 9 times 9 is 81. 10 times 10 is 100. 11 times 11 is 121. 144, 169, 196, and 225. So this is actually going to be a multiple choice question, and you're just going to have to pick out which one's perfect square. So we'll just not really solve anything. I'll just list them, and then you kind of know where they came from. And another way to do it is if I give you a number, let's say 49, right? And I want to know if that's a perfect square or not. What you do is you take the square root of it. If you get a whole number, it's a perfect square. So let's say if I gave you 48 and I want to know if that's a perfect square. When I take the square root, do I get a whole number? No, so it's not a perfect square. Okay, so that's another way to figure it out. All right, moving on to function. So on the front we did where we had a list, okay, where we had this relation and we wanted to know if it was a function, and we looked for the x values, did not repeat. So, well, that's what is a function where the x values don't repeat, and this one had repetition, so it was no good. But now, what was the trick to figuring out on a graph? There's something you had to draw. There's some sort of test, and that was a vertical line test. So you have your function right here, and what you do is you just make a vertical line. See, it only goes through once. If I make it here, it only goes through once. If I make it here, so anywhere I draw, it only goes through once, and that is a good thing. So yes, it is a function. So steps, I guess really maybe reason why. So it passes the vertical line test because the vertical line only goes through the graph once. Okay, so if it only goes through once, you're good. If it has something, maybe you've had something that looks like this, like a sideways U. If I don't know, let's go a little, maybe like even like an S. If I make a line, it goes 1, 2, 3. Well, that's no good. That is not a function. So, okay, now a function with a table. Remember, it's all about these x values. The x values cannot repeat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do I have any repetition? Nope. So I am good to go. So yes, it is a function. So steps are, I guess, just really, again, definition like the front. So for the function, the x values do not repeat. That is your definition of a function when you have the numbers to look at. Otherwise, it has to pass the vertical line test. All right, number 10. So you did a little bit of this analyzing towards the end of March, I think, or beginning of March, I should say. So what did Sue do between 12 and 2? So what are we looking at? So we have Sue's drive in the country, so she's driving, and we have time, and this side is distance. So this is like her driving away from home because you could see that her distance is increasing. We want to know what she does from 12 to 2. So the time is going, but the distance stops. So is she driving? If her distance is stopped, is she driving? No. So she took a break. She took a break / stopped driving. So steps, this is more like, I don't know, definition. So a horizontal line when given distance and time means a stop in movement, not a stop in time. So again, this is all going to be multiple choice. So you're going to get a picture that looks like this. You want to definitely make sure that you are choosing the one where it shows, well, if it's time and distance, choose the one that talks about the distance or the movement stopping, because the distance stop, the movement stop. Don't tell me anything about time, because can time stop? Nope, time cannot stop, but distance can. Okay, so the last new one for today, hopefully you guys are still doing okay, a nonlinear. All right, so in the beginning, we looked at equations for nonlinear, and we knew in order to be nonlinear, it had to be the exponent of x or whatever variable it is has to be not 1. For a picture, it's a little bit easier. Nonlinear means not a line. So which one is not a straight line? And that would be B. So nonlinear means not a straight line. All right, so at this point, go ahead and stop the video. Do the next 11 questions on your own. Again, if you have any questions at all, you can always go back and look at the previous questions, look at our notes, and it should be not too bad. So do those 11 questions, come back, and let's see how you did. All right, hopefully these were not too horrible. So let's see how you did. So for nonlinear, again, you're looking for something that's not x to the first power. You should have chosen number 1 because you have the squared. Number 2, want to know if it's a function? This is, yes, it is a function. Because if you notice the x values, 1, 5, and 2, nothing repeats. Okay, these are the ones I unfortunately need the most work. And you can look for the formulas hopefully on the first page. So get a volume of a cylinder, radius of 5, height of 12, round to nearest hundredth. Okay, I'm not going to draw them this time, but I'm just going to quick show you the work. So pi r squared h. It does not say what to use for pi, so make sure you're using that pi button. Okay, so the radius is 5, so 5 squared. And then the height is 12. Exponents first. That's 25. Okay, what do we got? We got pi times 25 times 12, and it wants nearest, what are we doing? Nearest hundredth, so tenths, hundredths. So look to the third number, that 7 does round that up to an 8. So you should have gotten 942.48, and no units again, so units to the third power. Okay, hopefully that one wasn't too bad. And moving on to 15. All right, so for 15, we're talking about volume of a sphere in terms of pi, radius of 7. So make sure you have this in your answer. So if we look at the front or the first couple of questions, pi r cubed is our formula. So 4/3 times pi, no box around it. Okay, 7 to the third power, 343. Okay, so what you should have done is you should have multiplied the 4/3 and the 343. And that's it. So 4/3, 343, 457, and 1/3. So if you got 450, what was it? 7 and 1/3 inches cubed, you got it correct. Again, don't multiply by pi. Don't multiply by pi. That's the toughest part of that one. All right, last one, nearest cubic inch, cone, radius of 3, height of 9. So here's our, oh, this one has the formula. Okay. So 1/3 pi r squared h. 1/3 Does it say what to use for pi? Nope. So we're using that pi button. Make sure you have that box around it. So pi, my radius is 3 and my height is 9. And nearest inch means nearest whole number. Okay, so 1/3 times pi times 9 times 9. Let's see if you got this one right. So 1 ABC3 times pi times 9 times 9. You should have gotten 80. Well, let's see. That 8 is going to round that up. So if you got 85, you got it correct. So 85. This one is also inches to the 3rd power. All right. Last page. Hopefully you guys are doing okay. All right, again, cube roots. I want to take the cube root of both sides. Cube root of both sides. So again, that's 3, second, and caret. What do we got? 3, second, caret. And then 8, if you got A is 2, you got it correct. Okay, is 225 a perfect square? So you can either have them memorized, or you can kind of do what I did before. Just take the square root of it. Okay, this is kind of like a little shortcut to figuring out. Take the square roots. So that's second x squared. Let me write that down for you. Second x squared. If you take the square root of 225, you do get a whole number. Okay, so because you get a whole number, it is yes. Because 15 squared is 225. So that is a perfect square. Okay, so is this a function? Vertical line test, it only goes through once. It only goes through this parabola one time. Yes, we are good. Whether you try it there. It always just goes through once. So for 19, you should have gotten yes. And I'll just quick write vertical line only goes through the graph once. All right, is this a function? Well, let's check out those x values. 2, 8, 4, 6, and 8. Okay, well, if you heard, I said 8 twice, so that is no good. So is it a function? Nope. The x value of 8 repeats. So if you wrote no, you got it correct. All right, again, we have that time and distance, just like the other one, time and distance. So what's happening between 5 and 8? So we're just going to be consistent, or we're going to say took a break or stopped. So if you said anything like that, you got it right. All right, last but not least, linear and nonlinear. Well, you see a curve, so you should have put in linear. So hopefully you did okay with these. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. So go ahead and do that homework number 106. Remember, it's going to be this stuff day 5, and it's also going to be what we did yesterday, day 4. So if you have any questions, let me know. If not, make sure that you post your homework on Google Classroom, and definitely use the notes. They're on my answer, all the answer keys, all the notes, everything on my website. Use it to help you with this. All right, have a great day. Bye.